Hi, Shannon here with Shannon Sizzlen Stampers, coming to you from my Southern Colorado stamp studio again. Super excited to be here with all my community friends for another version of our Hive videos or healthy living options. So with that, I want to just tell you, I kind of really jam-packed your kits this month. So you are going to have 4 projects. It's a record probably, especially when we're doing these virtual version classes. It's a little bit more difficult sometimes. So with that, let's get started. Let me turn my camera down and we will start looking at all the lovelies that we have. I'm going to try to get my camera a little closer so you can see that a little bit better. All right, so when you get your kit this month, you are going to have all of this, a whole array of goodies. You're going to have a little jar. You're going to have some strawberry candies that will go into the jar. You're going to have some red and white baker's twine. You're going to have a little strip, a narrow strip of designer paper. It'll be varied. But all of these are going to be around berries and peaches. I couldn't decide to go with one or the other, so I was feeling generous, I guess. So we're doing both peaches and strawberries. You're also going to have the materials to make this little drink mix packet holder. And that is going to have a drink mix. You're going to have some cornflower blue and white baker's twine. Peach, something that looks like this scrap that you're going to be cutting the peach out. And you're going to have, these again could be mixed designer papers, a piece this size and a little tiny piece. So when you go through to get your kit stuff out, don't lose anything. Then you're also going to have a solid piece of cardstock. It could be peach, blue, or a green. And I'm just realizing, I don't know if I have my topper punch nearby, but this should have a punched finished end on one side. And then you're going to have 2 cards, things for 2 cards. So you have 2 craft envelopes. You have a white cardstock that will be a card base. Again, another variety of DSP. And a lot of these have peaches and different things. These are the peach blossoms. So you'll have some sort of ribbon. There are the peach ones. There are also blue. And then you'll have a tiny golden bumblebee. Again, don't lose these tiny things out of your kit. And then for this other card, again, another craft envelope, you're going to have this is a 4x12 piece of cardstock. And you're going to have a white piece of cardstock. You're going to have a little strawberry to cut, and you're going to have another tiny thing, a little thing with 3 red rhinestones on it. And then you're going to have some sort of strip or scrap of white paper that you're going to use to write your sayings or stamp on. All right, so remember, you're going to want your standard adhesive, whatever that is for you. It could be tear tape, glue dots. For most of these today, I'm going to be using just my regular white liquid glue. And I think, let me grab my punch real quick so I have that. So noisy at my punch station. I just want to kind of show you. Now, as we go, remember these are just samples and ideas, but as we go, I want you to realize and remember, be creative. So if you want to rework these embellishments, if you want to use this ribbon on your drink holder and the twine on your card, feel free. I may try to show you a couple of ideas as well, options. So let's just, since I've got the strawberry card here, let's start with that one. So this card is the DSP, and it is long, 4x12. Now, you can make your card this way, or you can make it up and down. It kind of depends. It may depend on what pattern. If you have a pattern that definitely has a top and bottom like this one, we're going to choose to cut that, fold that a certain way. So you will want a ruler, you will need some scissors, a flat edge, you may want a scoring tool or something that you can use to score with. So I'm going to just use a pencil. And the first thing for this particular card, let me set that out of the way, is you're going to mark it at 4 inches and again at 8 inches. And then you're going to score it. Oh, I found my 4-inch mark, but I cannot see my 8-inch. So let me make it a little darker. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it was really tiny. So I'm going to show you, I normally use a scoring tool, but it's packed for a class already. So I'm going to show you, in case you don't have a scoring tool, you can easily do this. You can, because this is not a project where you need a heavy score. Just take your straight edge, which I'm using the ruler for my straight edge, and I'm using this bone folder. You can use the end of a pen, like the back side of a pen. You can use a blade of a scissor, a butter knife, all kinds of things that you can use. Oop, and I'm a little wiggly on my base, so hopefully it's not so crooked. So you're just going to give it a light score. Don't worry. And if you want, I mean, look at that. I scored the red right off the paper. If you want, you can just fold it up. This is merely a matter of folding the card into thirds so that it looks like this. Okay? At the moment, that's how it's going to look. And then this white square goes inside. You're just going to glue that down. Into that center panel. Okay? Into the center panel. I've got to flip that so that you can see top, bottom. So we've glued that into the center panel, and if you want to stamp or decorate with that, you can. Now, it's designed like this for a folding card. I want to just show you one other option that you can do is to take and now fold this paper back. But I'm going to leave a tiny bit of the border of my other designer paper behind it. And give that a really nice fold right there. So now if I needed a gift card or money or whatever, I can merely take this, run a little bit of glue just along the L, which is, here's the bottom of the L and here's the leg of the L. So leave this fold alone, no adhesive there. And you're probably going to want to put a little bit of adhesive to hold that nicely down. So now you have a great little pocket to put cash, a gift card, a ticket to something, a movie theater, whatever. So now we have our front of our card. So the next thing, I'm going to try to make this that you can do is to create, again, I'm leaving myself a little border, and the goal is to try to create that fold to where you don't see the white insert, but yet you still have created this square. So now you have this patterned square. Now this time we're not going to glue any of this down because that's what's going to open for them to see the rest of the card, but it's just a fun fold. It's a different type of fold, and I thought it would be kind of a fun take on this. All right, now Remember, you have some of this twine. You're going to need quite a bit of the twine for your jar. So you may want to make things as you go. But you have enough twine to be able to wrap it at least one time, if not two. It just depends how many wraps you're going to want on your little candy jar, so that the person can then open it up. And I'm just doing a knot. So the person who opens mine is either going to have to untie the knot, or they're just going to slide it off. All right, now. So there's our card. And then they'd slide it down, this would open up. Now you can choose to decorate this if you want, but because they're going to open that up, let me just slide it down. Because they're going to open it up and the focal point is really going to be here, that's where I'm also going to spend my time decorating. So I'm going to keep my twine down low, and I'm going to come in with my little strip of paper, and you can write whatever saying you want on here. I'm going to stamp. If you have a stamp, feel free. This was one of our celebration stamps, and we're getting ready for celebration again. So it's a really good time to call me if you want some stuff for free. It's that time. All right. So I've taken that, and I'm just going to go ahead and trim that down just with my scissors by hand. That's really wide. So I'm going to take and trim off some of that excess. And I'm going to just trim mine into a little banner. Now, if you have a punch or a square or whatever, you can absolutely punch this however you want to do it. Now, see how that's still going to be a little bit too, I feel like it's just too wide for the card. I'm going to really trim it narrow into those words. All right. Whoop. Just dropped my glue lid. I'm going to take and trim that little pennant a tiny bit more because I really want it to fit right. Maybe I'll just slide my twine down a little bit. Again, this is just an idea. You can decorate yours however you want. If you have dimensionals, I always recommend that you guys get some. If you don't, they're pretty inexpensive and they just add a lot to a card. But if you don't have dimensionals, absolutely you can glue this down flat. It will look just fine. It will just not have that standout presence that you get with the dimensionals. And then we're going to come in and we're going to cut out whatever strawberry. They're all random. Some are big, some are smaller, some are red, some are pink, some are even, I think there's even some yellowish ones, but they'll blend in. And sometimes you may have a blossom, a flower blossom as well. You may have a leaf as well. So you're going to take those and use them for whatever, however you want to decorate this. And we're going to pop our little strawberry up with some dimensionals as well. Again, no dimensionals, just lay it flat. It will be fine. And before next month, make sure you order a set. So I'm going to just have my little strawberry, the tail end of him popping down there. Don't throw away any of your little scraps. You may find that you need them. I'm going to keep this. I may use it on my jar later. Okay. And then those 3 little rhinestones that we have. What did I do with my pick tool? Oh, just stabbed myself in the leg. All right. So now I'm just choosing to put these little gems. Oh, that's two parallel. There we go. And we're going to put one more. Right there. Okay. And if you want to save a rhinestone to use on another project here, you can. You have 3, so do with them what you want. So there is the first card. So you just slide that down, they open it, and you can write your message right in here, their name, and tuck something cute in. It could even be Ghirardelli chocolates. It could be a pack of gum. Lots of things that will fit in this card, and it just goes together really simply. All right, so there we go. So that is project 1. Now, you do have a craft envelope that you can slide this into if you need it to be really protected or you're going to mail it. All right, so that is project 1. Super cute, right? I love the berries and the peaches. They're super fun, especially when we're at the heart and height of summer. All right, so while we're on the strawberries, let's just stick with that and we'll go ahead and do our jar. I was going to do both cards, but I think I'd rather stick with themes. So that little tiny scrap, you may want that again. And what we're going to do here is with your thin strip of paper, you're going to pick whatever side you want to show, put some glue on the other side, and you're merely going to start at one point on your jar and just wrap around. Now, if you have tear tape or double-sided tape, you can absolutely use that. With the white glue, you will have to hold it a little bit for a second, but I like the white glue because if I don't get it quite exactly where I want, I have a little bit of a minute or so that I can play with that. And your candies are designed to go in it, of course. So this you can just write a little name on, and I'm going to just poke a hole with my little piercing tool. You can use anything that has a sharp edge on it, and if you don't have a way to poke a hole, you can actually wrap your twine around it. So we're going to wrap our twine, and you want to leave yourself about 4 inches or so off to this edge is how much I like to leave. And then we're going to go around and around. We want to have lots of that red showing. I'm going to bring it right on over. You can tie it with a big loose floppy bow. You guys know me and bows on videos. Doesn't happen a whole lot. Then you can take your baker's twine and you can even poke it in as you go. Now see, I already poked my hole from the front side, so now it's going to be tedious to get my twine to go through there. Let's try the other one, and we'll just do it from the top. So just lay that twine there and get it to come through your little hole by whatever means necessary. This might be the most tedious part of this project. In fact, I might not even do it that way. All right. So you could do that if you have better luck. Or you can glue your thing right up here on the top. And the other thing that you can do, this is the other way I was going to show you. If you don't have a way to make a hole anyway, you can take and lay your twine around it like this and just tie a knot. And if I hadn't already wrapped mine around the jar several times, you could wrap your twine multiple times around one edge like that. And then you have a little tag. And you can adjust that and make it however you want. You could put it on the top. If you have, remember I had the leaf left. If you have a leaf or a blossom, I have part of a blossom on my little paper. So you could cut those out and give a little extra zhuzh to your jar lid. Or you could put it on the band going around the jar, whatever. Now, see how I only had part of a flower? Because my helper, when they cut these, they were cut just to make sure there was a strawberry on every piece. So if you got extra stuff, you got a bonus. So I put the partial flower on there first, and now I'm just kind of going to put that leaf to cover it. So now you've got a nice little top. You have a nice little round with some strawberry candies in it. All right, so that's project 2. Alrighty, moving on. All right, let's do this next card. And this is called a cut and flip, or some people do the tear method, tear and turn. I've heard it done both ways. For our intents and purposes today, we're going to call it cut and flip, and you'll see why in a minute. So again, you're going to fold that white card base in half so you have a nice card base. And then you've got this piece of paper, which is perfectly sized to be your main layer on there, okay? Now, you are going to cut it and flip it. And feel free to be creative. You could cut it in half equally. You could cut it slightly. You could cut it at a diagonal. You could cut it whatever. This is your card. You do it however you want. And I'm not even going to use my paper trimmer. And then you literally flip it over. So you now have 2 different patterns showing. So that's all that is. It's cut and flip. So you cut that paper to be the layer for your card, and then you make one more cut on that paper. Just one cut. And then that becomes you flip it over, and that gives you that second look. It's a very easy way to make lots of cards without having to really feel like you have to think up designing for them. All right, so there's the first half. Ooh, I almost glued the same pattern. That would have been bad. That my cut and flip would have been for naught. Then you're just lining that second one up. And you'll notice I'm not really leaving any space between the cut. I want it to be close together because that's what creates. I've got a fringe hanging. That's what creates that nice flip. All right, so this is the card that you have the little bee for. This is what your bee is for. And we've got some twine and you've got that ribbon. So when I initially was designing, I was designing this ribbon for here, but I'm changing my mind and I'm going to show you why, because you're going to want that ribbon for that actually. So what we're going to do here is I'm now going to make this be the top of my card up here. And I'm going to put through my ribbon, not my ribbon, my twine. Like this. So your card, this card can go up and down. It absolutely can. I'm thinking I'm going to make it be, I may not, I may turn it and have it be this way. But my goal is to have this twine, for my design, is to have the twine kind of follow that line where the 2 patterns change. Why is my twine not wanting to work with me? All right, there we go. And I'm probably going to tie it off and then slide it into position where I want it. Again, you can do a bow if you want. So I've got that. I'm going to just slide. There we go. Okay, so we've got that. Got some nice little ends hanging down. Again, we're coming back to that scrap of white. This is where you're going to write with your black pen or stamp. If you've got a stamp that you want to use, you can cut out words from a magazine that you like that might go with it. So for me, I'm going to stamp this saying that says, "That was so sweet of you." So even if you don't have a stamp, you can write that out. You can type it up on the computer. That's also a great resource for little things, little sentiments if you don't have a stamp. And then we're just gonna cut this down. If you have a punch, you could absolutely punch it out. But I'm just trimming mine to show you that even if you don't have a punch, this will end up making a super cute card. All right, so I've got that, and I'm going to actually use my dimensionals again. This is why I say you need to have them, because I use them a ton. I'm going to use the smaller ones, mainly because I'm going on either side of this twine. So, whoop, got a few too many there. Okay. Let's pop those backs off. Now, the one thing, if you happen to have some glue dots, you may need it for this bee. So even if you have like a flat glue dot, something like this, or the rounded glue dots that come on the roll, I suddenly realized I was out of those and my order for them has not arrived yet. But you're going to want a glue dot. You can use the white glue, but you will, let me just tell you, you will have to sit and hold that bee on there for quite a little bit of time for it to stick. And that's that card. Super simple, super easy, but beautiful. Beautiful, springy, summery with those peach blossoms. This one could even go into fall. These papers are all different. Some of them have peaches on them big, some small, some have flowers, some have just like patterns on the back side. So it'll be whatever you get. But I just love it. It's a sweet and simple card, and that little bee kind of sets it off. Okay, so that's project 3. And then our last project is the drink mix holder, which is a strawberry peach Welch's drink mix. So this paper is, I believe, 2 by 8 1/4. Yes. And the first thing I want you to do is cut off 1/4 inch. So you're going to cut off 1/4 inch. And then here again is where you're going to be scoring. And I'm going to do the pencil line because I know I've got a light colored paper and it's going to be hard for you to see. But you're going to score at 2 1/4. So 2 1/4 and 6. Okay. So you'll just score at those marks. And here's the other thing. Your paper is going to look like this when it gets to you. I'm sorry, I hadn't done that yet. So when you measure, let me just redo that. Let me just make sure. When you measure for that 2, it may be more like 2 1/8. Make sure you're at the top of this little punch. 2 1/8 to 2 1/4. It won't matter if you're slightly off on the measurements. This is a very forgiving little treat package. Very, very forgiving. This is the top. So all we're going to do is, you've got this little strip of paper, you've got this little strip of paper, and you've got a peach. Again, you could cut this peach and use it on the other card if you want, but I designed it for the little peach to be on the drink packet, and hopefully you'll see why in a minute. Now you have plenty of extra white, so if you want to write or stamp a message to include on this on the drink package, ooh, you can. You're not going to see me do that on this one. I designed it more like something, a quick little favor or gift that I could lay out at a barbecue or at a birthday or something of that sort. So it's not going to really have a message. Plus, it could also go perfectly with that card that we just made. So you could give them the card and this. All right, so once you've cut your peach out, the next step is to take this piece of paper, and if yours has a top and a bottom, of course you want to have your top going up here toward the punch. This is a scallop topper punch. I don't think this makes a difference, but I think I want the flower to be more showy. And I'm just going to kind of put that in the center evenly. Well, I was going to try to erase that, but that pencil eraser is not a good one. All right. Next step is to fold this up. That's going to fold up like that. And what we're going to do here, I'm going to take it like this, is I'm going to flip it, and you can do, remember how we flipped the pattern? I happen to actually have the same pattern for this drink packet. So there's my top. I'm going to put this at the bottom. I was going to do it the other way because it's easier for me to put it on equally, but that way you can see. This is going on the bottom to just give a little bit of essence. And again, glue your peach. I'm going to be putting mine on with dimensionals, but you can just flat glue it if you need to. Put a couple of dimensionals on that peach. And then we're going to just kind of layer that peach on however you like. Now, the next step is to put a little bit of glue right along the side. That's why I like this, the white glue for this, because it has a fine tip. So you can just do a fine line of the glue there. And probably I'm going to do it even across the bottom of that, just to make sure that holds and creates a little packet really well. Now, because I am using white glue, and you may want to create that pouch before you decorate it, because when you go to fold it, you want to make sure that is really glued well before you go to stick in your little drink pouch, because otherwise it'll pop open. Another thing you can choose to do is you can staple it along the edges if you like that look. So I'm just going to slide it in there. And this is where I said you may want to use your ribbon here, because the scallop punch has a wider hole. And so I think that the ribbon looks better on your drink pouch. If you choose to use the ribbon on your card, you can either lay it flat across there, but I designed it really to be a knot originally, but I think that design is better for the process. And then you probably still have some of the blue twine. So if you find that you're afraid that this is going to pop open, with your drink pouch, the other thing that you could do is take a bit of that twine. See, I didn't, because I'm filming this for you guys, I didn't let it sit. You really, if you use the white glue, you will need it to sit, like I say, for quite a little bit of time. But you can also use the baker's twine to bail you out a little bit. And this just ensures it gives a little bit of color. Like on mine, I know you can only see that one little flower that's blue, but I know it's there. Plus there's kind of blue on the packaging. And it's there. Now, this originally, you wouldn't even actually have to make this first 2 1/8 or 2 1/4 score inch. I just have you do that. This, my goodness, that ribbon just fell. Let's do a ribbon a different way. This packet idea was originally designed where you would punch a hole and it could go over a water bottle. So you could do that as well. But this drink pouch is long, so you wouldn't need to do that top score if you don't want to. It's up to you, totally up to you. It's your project, up to you. So that's your last project. So let's just look again at these cute projects for this month. And then we've got our little jar. So hopefully you enjoyed those projects. I really enjoyed it. They're super summery, very delicious looking, and sweet as a peach can be. And jam on these projects and make them up, get them done. Share your posts with me, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.